You want the light?
This life down. It's dangerous after lunch, I know that. I want to thank you all for your soon to be very hard work and your attentiveness up to till now. But I want to go back through the facts as quickly as we can. I think you've probably got a pretty good idea what the facts of this case are. And as I do that, I want to talk about some of the legal concepts that apply to your deliberation process, if that's okay. All right, so what we have to do, ladies and gentlemen, is prove two things to you beyond the reading of that. Those two things are the element of each crime charged in the indictment. And secondly, the defendant's plural responsibility for the commission of the crimes charged in the indictment. So the first thing I want to point out is the instructions. These instructions are going to be about half an inch thick. And the judge will read them to you. They're going to send you a copy. But a lot of the pages in these instructions deal with what we call lesser included offenses. And the court will instruct you on how to deal with those. And what the court will tell you is, the first thing you do is consider the offense charged in the present. First-degree murder, attempted first-degree murder, employing a firearm during the commission of a felony. It's only if you find them not guilty of those charged offenses do you even have to consider anything below that. And there are a lot of them below first-degree murder, okay? So I want to point that out. The instructions are going to seem daunting, but if you take them in the order that the court will guide you through, and I trust it'll be a lot easier for you. And again, the court will tell you cannot consider a lesser included offense until you first made a unanimous determination that the defendant is not guilty of the immediately preceding greater offense. So I want to back up before December 17, 2015 and try to understand the mindset of these guys that came out to Lonsdale on December 17, 2015. And you heard, well, you've actually heard two of their videos now, but the one you heard in our case in chief, you heard these guys talking about this gang life that they either are connected to or want to be connected to. Some 20, some 40. I'm 400, and you know from Tom Walker, 400 is a gang, a Bloods gang, a blood set of Bloods, and that's what these guys espouse to be. And of course, we all loyal. You can't break the code. That's what these gang members are telling the world. We're loyal to each other. We're in this gang and we're loyal to each other. And we're going to put it out there on the internet so everybody knows it, okay? They also tell you, I'm 20, so you know, red flag going to show West Side 29th. And sure enough, what do we find? A red flag in Mr. Williams' pocket along with a bunch of 9mm Winchester bullets when he's arrested on April 14, 2016. Again, I don't care, 60s, 40s, 111, man, they all got to go. Those are our rivals. We pulling up, popping out, everybody got a pole, everybody got a gun. Sure enough, December 17, 2015, everybody had a gun. This is the 357 recovered on April 4th of 2016. And this is the 9mm semi-automatic that was recovered later as well. Everybody get down if you don't want to get smoked. That means if you don't want to get shot. Where I'm from, East Side Gun Zone, where a couple of these niggas can't go. We're from the East Side. That's who we are. We're from the East Side. And you've heard from Tom Walker about East Side, West Side, and how East Side peculiar to Knoxville in this gang culture. That's where this term expression originated, in Knoxville. Well, aren't we proud to have that designation? And sure enough, at Mr. Perry's house, we got this gang graffiti. At first blush, you'd think it was a rival gang coming over there and tagging his house or his fence or whatever. No, that's an expression of who this West Side relates to the Bloods West Side that you heard Tom Walker talk about. Staking out his territory. This is where me, as a Blood gang member, this is where I live. And I'm proud of it. We're Crip killers, CK, Crip killer. That's what we espouse. It gets us up with that backdrop in these guys' minds, their mindset. Then we get to December 17, 2015. And the first incident that starts this whole chain of events, let me back it up. We've got something happening in Western Heights, but the first real violent incident occurred at 238 Dallas Street. And you saw the people. I'm going to show all the pictures. You got them. You can look at all of them. And what you heard, what you know, especially from Patty Resnick yesterday, is that there were two different guns used to light up that house, up at Brandon Perry's house at 238 Dallas. An AK-47 and a .40 caliber semi-automatic handgun fired 21 different shell casings. I believe it's 10 on one, 11 on the other, if I recall. And we know that Brandon Perry is driving Chris Bassett's car over there. And you see him get out and run up to that scene out of Chris Bassett's car that he's been driving around. Escort them down back down to the creek. Hey, buddy. And you see Chris Bassett walking back and forth. First, see him on the phone. I think that's important.
I tell you what, she's on her way. They're taking out right now. Well, I'll tell you what, we're going to make absolutely sure that we don't do that,
Can't understand what Mr. Bassett's yelling back at where the police and firefighters are, but somebody smacked him upside the head and looks like an attempt to calm him down. You know he's mad from that video.
So y'all over here, okay, yeah. If you put it on the hospital like everybody else, I'm just taking the ET, okay?
Mr. Perry driving Mr. Bassett's car away. If you heard right the first of that little bit of that video, you'll have the whole thing back there. Something, in fact, you want to go to UT Hospital like everybody else, okay? And shortly thereafter, you see Mr. Perry go get in that car. Well, they had choices right then. That's when that set of choices set in. Right there, Mr. Perry, Mr. Bassett, and what we know also from the testimony is that Mr. Williams went over there as well. Investigator Leffler told you that as well. That those three individuals, Mr. Perry, Mr. Bassett, and Mr. Williams, went to that scene once called for the scene of that shooting where Perry's mom got shot. Okay? And she was go to the hospital like everybody else. That's not the choices those three individuals made. They made a different choice, not to go see somebody's shot mama or shot aunt. What was their choice? To retaliate, to get revenge on whoever shot that house up. And that's what the series of events that followed from that shooting, that's what this proof shows you.
I'm asking, what happened? Where she get shot at? Whatever. Nobody trying to tell me I'm mad. I just...
Chris Bassett tells you he's mad. He confirms that he's mad.
Brandon called me. He said, bruh, I I just heard my brother got shot. I said, word. He said, I'm on my way to her house right now. I said, I'm on my way. That's up.
He gets the call, his aunt's been shot, he's on his way.
Tell him what Raymond did.
Listen,
Raymond was mad.
Brandon was mad. He said he had to go handle some business. You can go handle some business, bro. Look, I don't got time for this. I got twins. I don't care what you do. That's my auntie. I love my auntie to death. Me and my auntie got the same birthday. But I can't jeopardize my kids. I can't jeopardize my kids. This their first Christmas. I can't jeopardize that. I'm not doing it. I'm not jeopardizing my life just because you mad. That's what you for. Y'all supposed to go handle this.
In other words, he said, I know you're mad because your mom got shot or my aunt got shot. That's on you. That's your business. That's his initial story, okay? That's what you do. You handle it. And that tells you that what follows is related directly to that shooting on Dallas Street.
He said, he don't know. I said, that's what we're talking about. So you don't know what you did? I'm like, did you do something? Did you do something to somebody else, bro? Because if you do something to somebody else, they don't care back to their family. They don't retaliate. How they want to retaliate?
Retaliate. That word is first uttered by Chris Bassett. If we do something to somebody's family, retaliation is coming. That's what he's saying. He knows it. That's his mindset. It's retaliation.
You don't never know how people go retaliate.
Again, later on in the interview, you don't know how people are going to retaliate. His word. Now, we'll throw this definition of premeditation in there. We'll talk a little bit about it. We'll hear it again. But premeditation, now underline the word act. Notice it doesn't say a premeditated murder. It's a premeditated act. That's why we talked about that on the front end. We all engage in premeditated acts. It's after the exercise of reflection and judgment that you do something, whether it's coming to a stop sign, decide whether to try to beat the light or stop or whatever. But it's those actions. Do you have time to think about what action you want to take in any situation? That's what premeditation is. It's not a complicated concept, ladies and gentlemen. The choice they made, the premeditated act they engaged in at that point in time was not to go to the hospital, but to go to Green Hills. Gather up the troops, gather up the posse, if you will, because there's retaliation to come. At 7:58, Mr. Colbert is brought into the situation. He now knows what has happened, and he starts texting Mr. North. And you saw the text message that he sent to Mr. North at 7:58 after Mr. North asking if they were straight. Everything okay? We straight? I'm about to come get that heat. Come with a K instead of a C. Come get that heat. And you heard the testimony. That means come and get the guns. Come and get the weapons. At 7:58, Mr. Colbert's now part of this. So what started out as a 3-man operation. It's now a 4-man operation. You got Perry, you got Bassett, you got Williams, and you got Colbert engaging in this plan, if you will, to exact revenge. Talk a little bit about criminal responsibility. That's what this case is about. Each party to an offense may be charged with the commission of the offense. Here's the critical language of this. The criminal is responsible for each other's acts if acting with intent to promote or assist the commission of offense or benefit from proceeds or results, defendant solicit, direct, aid, or attempt to aid another person to commit the offense. Aiding somebody else in committing an offense with the intent to benefit. Again, Mr. Colbert, he's on his way to get weapons. Okay? That's his attempt to aid, part of his attempt to aid. So you got those three. At 8:10, here they come, in the green hill. Mr. Bassett's black BMW. Four individuals getting out of Mr. Bassett's car less than an hour after Ant gets shot. Going into that apartment.
What kind of gun did you have? 40. Do you know what model it was? What kind? Glock? Smith & Wesson? Okay. Whose gun was it?
Not sure.
Mr. Bassett gets a Glock. Don't even know whose it is.
When did you get that gun?
When I get the gun. Earlier.
I don't know what earlier, but
Earlier today.
Again, in the midst of obtaining a gun.
okay. Who gave you that gun?
I ain't who gave it to me.
I'm sorry.
It ain't who gave it to me in school. These are guns we're gonna use.
Okay. Who brought the guns?
I don't know. My gun was gave to me by Brandon.
You get the image there, they're over in Green Hills arming themselves. These are the guns we're going to use. If they laid out on the table or what? Here they are, folks. Here's the guns we're going to use. Pick one. He picks Glock, I guess.
But you knew it was a 40 caliber Glock. Because you looked at it. Okay.
Did this man get hit with a 40 caliber Glock?
I don't know.
Fishing for information, nigga.
Brandon's walking around. What kind of gun does Brandon have?
He had 357.
Okay. Was it an automatic or a revolver?
That's a revolver.
Okay.
You know, and as you know, when you see again, Brandon Perry is the leader of this outfit, and he's got a revolver. There's your fifth gun, ladies and gentlemen. Once you look at Patty Redding's diagram once again. And you know he's shooting, because he's the one that's most mad, I guess, if you want to look at it that way.
And they just, what did they say they did tonight? They just let, like, honestly, they said, like I said, it was about, when he got over there around 8 o'clock maybe, they all just said they was sleeping at 9 o'clock. As soon as 9 o'clock hit, I promise you, they all just walked out.
Larry, of course, that's the clip you saw from Larry North's interview after he got up here and couldn't remember. I asked you to look at Larry North's, review his testimony in this light. When he gave that interview that night, a few hours after all this happened over there at Green Hills, this proof shows you, he was the only one of this bunch that was going to come forward and talk to the police about what he knew. You know everything, but what he knew, he willingly went to the police station to talk to them about what he knew. Okay? And you got to put in context what happened after that in order to understand why he was the way he was on this witness stand. He got shot 7 or 8 times. He got disassociated from the gang, from the group, and tried to reconnect with them somehow. Instead, he took 7 or 8 bullets over there off East Hill Avenue in Townview Towers. And so naturally, he's going to be reluctant from the witness stand. But fortunately, we had his recorded statement, and we suggest to you that is reliable under the circumstances. That is reliable for you to when considering, exactly what was unfolding in the early morning hours of December 18th.
Tell me the truth. Tell you everything that I'm not saying. And I promise to God on that. Who was in that car when they left? I actually think they were the 2 cars. And Of course, Brandon, he was the one, mama got shot. Chris Bassett, the one had 99. That's his blood cousin. Killed. Let's see, Richard. I think that was in one car. Another car, I can only say one person, that was probably Malik. Malik what? George.
So he tells you that these three defendants get in a car together, and that's corroborated by the video that you see at 9:07 from Green Hills. You see four people. I think you actually see three cars leave, but you sure see two leave, and I think there are five people altogether that get in those cars. We'll look at it here in a minute.
How many people altogether? Well, with me not knowing how many was in his car, I can say 5. At least 5. At least 5. Maybe more like. I'm sorry. Okay. So at least 5 people, 2 cars. At least 5 people, 2 cars. They didn't want to talk. We just started listening to music. When they said 9 o'clock hit, we leaving. I don't know what time they came back, but they said 9 o'clock, we leaving. We have to go hit the west.
And what he tells you there is that these guys left, and they came back. He didn't know what time they came back, but they came back. Okay, and he's spot on about the time they left. Because at 9:07, video tells us that. See him coming out of that apartment. Submit to you, see some of them hooded up. See 5 of them. And of course, you see 3 cars leaving, whether the third car is connected or not. It took them a while to leave, but they're just going about their business. and they go in to Lonsdale from Green Hill.
He parked my car.
Where'd you park?
He parked at basketball court.
Where?
Basketball court.
Okay.
And they go park by the basketball court. Mr. Bassett tells us, and you heard Devontae Patrick talk about how they came up from that area near the basketball court and was encountered by Mr. Coleman, that when he saw this video, he positively and promptly identified Mr. Colbert as the one that came away from the group of what he thought was 8 and engaged him in conversation. And what was that conversation? What's bracking? What's you banging? And under all this proof, that's gang talk, gang terminology, whatever. He wasn't bracking, he wasn't banging. It scared him. Scared this kid. And he went back in and told his grandma.
He came back in, he said, they look at his real friend, check his friend. He said, they come back. What you got? Jerky or something like that. He said, no, man, but he started calling his phone, but he called his friend. So, come on, pick him up. And he said, y'all get this black. And he just got a call from his mother that said they were shooting at them back down and further down, back behind my home, down in the development. So, he said it's about 7 to 8 of them.
Okay. So is it just guys standing there or somebody get shot?
No, they were shooting at some guys down here. But further down in the north, they're home, but back behind me somewhere down like in Castle and going to somewhere down in that area. I don't know exactly what part of it, but these little friends called and said that they just got to shooting at Dewey in there, and I don't know.
Okay, so did they get shot? Did they get shot tonight?
Yes, this man, not too long ago.
And of course tells his grandmother calls it. In the description given, immediately after this encounter, they dressed in black, there's about 7 or 8 of them, and by the time he called his friends to warn them, they're already shooting at him down near Gomes.
So, you're walking around, how long was he out there for?
We wasn't out there long.
Not out there long, walking around.
He walked over there. He did what he had to do.
Did what he had to do. Again, that tells you that it was a retaliation, revenge, action, whatever. He did what he had to do. I think this part of the interview is before Mr. Bassett finally tells his involvement in all this. When he talked about what Brandon Perry did, that he saw or was there to know about somewhere.
So, he just started shooting? Okay. It's not a guess, you were there. So does he just start shooting? Okay. Does he say anything while shooting?
I don't know. He started shooting.
Again, all these kids that were there that got shot at told you they didn't say nothing. And Mr. Bassett corroborates that. They didn't say nothing, they just started shooting.
We was all walking.
And the whole group was walking together?
Not everybody. Some people stayed in the car, some people was the driver.
So, he tells us what the roles of other people were. Somebody's just drivers of multiple cars, okay? And that's what criminal responsibility is all about. Each person has a role of some kind. You got shooters, you got drivers.
Brandon in the front.
Okay, who else is up there with him?
Brandon in the front, y'all like, we close, but I'm kind of
Okay.
iffy, you feel me?
Brandon's the leader of this bunch. He's in the front. But everybody else is close by.
Did anyone talk to anybody? Did you go over and talk to anybody?
No,
Did Brandon talk to anybody?
no, I don't know nobody out there really.
No, but did anyone approach anybody?
No,
No one approached some other people and said, hey, I'm looking for Billy Bob or whatever?
no.
So he's just randomly going out there. So yeah, as far as you know. Don't
As far as I know, he hot head, his mom just got shot. The first person he see, he shoot him.
Tells you what this is all about. He's hot-headed. His mama just got shot. He went over there, the first person he see, he's shooting. That's what this first person he see, he's shooting. The first person he saw was a group of kids on the back porch. He's shooting.
You don't know how many people in that group over there? Staying in that yard that you said?
3, 4, I'm not sure.
Okay. Could you tell if they're guys or girls?
No.
Do you know if they're black or white?
Black.
You know, he knows enough to know there were some black people over there, and there are 3 or 4 of them that they start shooting. And that's what we had. We had 6, but he saw at least 3 or 4.
Did you shoot at those kids to be mean?
To be mean.
To be mean. Or did you shoot up in the air?
I shot in the heart.
At 7:25, he finally acknowledges being a shooter from this bunch.
I ain't never shot nobody till today. I just seen that my cousin got shot in his neck.
No, but that takes a lot to do.
I ain't shot nobody till today. That is what it is, ladies and gentlemen. That's his statement, his words.
I just didn't want to feel like a bitch.
I'm going along. I'm going along with whatever Brandon Perry wants to do. I don't want to feel like a bitch. I'm going to go along with it.
This I'm tell you, if I'm pointing at them, I'll shoot everybody that's in front of me.
I point the gun at him, I'm going to shoot everybody that's in front of that gun. That's what that seems to be saying.
Okay, well, why is he shooting?
I guess because he felt like them might been.
Okay.
He stopped short, but I think you can tell where he was going. He thought those might have been the people that were involved in shooting up his mother's house. That's what's the unfinished sentence, if you will. But his guess is that's why he shooting, because he thought they had something to do with it.
He was in the street, you know,
Okay. And, like I said, does he say who he's looking for?
no.
He doesn't say. That's his guess is he thinks it's involved with his aunt's shooting.
So it's not over a girl or something like that?
Y'all, you better not be over here. You better not be fighting over no girl.
And I put that in there because we heard on day one that this was, really, we got it all wrong. This is about some girl. Well, not according to Chris Bass, it's not over some girl. And of course, you know what happened after that. The 34 casings that were recovered, at least 34 shots fired from that street toward those 6 kids on that back porch, who were the only people out, only people visible to anybody at that time of night at that location. And these guys walk up and start shooting. And what, you'll remember a couple of these kids in describing what happened to them, talked about a flurry, a round of shots being fired, and then there was a pause. As they're running away, there was a pause and more shots. So I suggest to you that that's important on their mindset. You know, they're going to shoot. There's a pause for whatever reason, and shoot again. Keep shooting until Zaevion Dobson is lying dead on the back porch. And you saw the damage done by some of these bullets on that back porch area. You heard from these kids that jumped off that porch and took off running. They were hearing bullets whizzing by them as these guns were being aimed at them and triggers pulled and bullets whizzing by them. And you see the damage to that porch area from bullets that didn't strike humans. And right below the deck area of that back porch, you see a couple of bullet strikes. As they're aiming those guns at those kids on that porch and pulling the trigger, and those bullets striking that part of that porch as well, in addition to the bullet that struck Zaevion Dobson. And of course, we now know there are at least 34 shots fired, at least 4 different guns. Talk talk about the elements of these crimes. First degree murder, we must prove to beyond a reasonable doubt that the defendant or someone who is criminally responsible for any one of them unlawfully killed Zaevion Dobson. It was intentional, it's premeditated. Judge will tell you that intentional means it's a person's conscious, objective, or desired cause of death of the alleged victim. It need not be to kill a specific victim. And what this proof shows you, the victims were intentional. They intentionally selected victims. They didn't know who they were. They were going to shoot and kill somebody. And what you've heard is this first person you see is going to shoot. So it's not a named victim. I guess that's a better way to say it. His intent is not to kill Billy, Bob, or whoever that may have been involved in the end shooting. It's just kill somebody. These kids were just randomly selected. And if you find that it was done intentionally and with premeditation, then the killing of another or the attempted killing of another, when we're talking about these attempts on these kids, even if not the intended victim, would be first degree murder or attempted first degree murder. Again, it is not necessary that the purpose to kill pre-exists in the mind of an accused for any definite period of time. I submit to you, though, we got a pretty good length of time here when this retaliation and this shooting was planned. It started back on Dallas Street, continued on and round up the troops over Great Hills, and they loaded up the 2 cars, and here they go. They're going to shoot up the west side, and any person that moves. You must observe or carefully consider the mental state of an accused at the time to see if they're free from excitement, passion. I put the entire definition up here. It's done with premeditation. It's not material whether they're in a state of passion or excitement when the design was carried into effect. There's no suggestion that there was any excitement or state of passion when these guys were shooting off shots. They went where they wanted to go and did what they wanted to do. Well, she heard from Latasha Colbert, heard about her 2 kids, and these other 5 victims. The counts that relate to them are attempted first degree murder and criminal responsibility. Part of that is criminal responsibility instruction tells you that they found guilty of one offense. Other crimes that were the natural and probable consequences of the original offense, which would be the murder, they could be found guilty of that too. And that relates to the attempted first degree murder and the employment of firearm during a dangerous felony. We have to prove the elements of murder first. You may take into account any evidence that a defendant attempted to forward or withdraw from any of the offenses that followed from the original offense. No proof of that whatsoever. And this, the entire definition of criminal responsibility, you don't even have to be there. You can still be criminally responsible under this part of this definition that the judge will give you. But we submit to you, these guys are all there anyway. But that just, I'll put that up there to show you how broad that definition is, how many different situations it can cover. It's a very broad principle of law. It was proved, obviously, that the first degree murder before someone can be criminally responsible. It doesn't matter whether somebody's been prosecuted. Of course, Brandon Perry's not been prosecuted, he's dead. Attempted murder, judge will instruct you on what an attempt is. To do some act intended to cause a result, or an element of first degree murder to occur in time believed the act would cause the element to occur without further action on the defendant's part. I get back to these 34 rounds that were squeezed off out there. High, low, direct, whatever. At the individual running. I mean, they're empty, if they're empty the guns out or not, they're shooting 34 times. And these counts that deal with employing a firearm or dangerous offense, the elements of that would be that they employed, and the definition of that is to make use of a firearm during the commission of a dangerous offense, to wit, attempted murder. That's what these counts relate to, the attempted murder, not the murder, but the attempted murder of those 8 individuals.
Where are you running?
I run, get in the car.
Okay, so you run back to the courts.
Yeah.
So after the shooting, they go back to the courts, go back and get in the car, and go back to Green
Jump
Hill.
in the car, and then where do y'all go? Back to Green Hills? Okay.
And sure enough, all the times aren't what you might expect. We got from 10 o'clock, a little after 10 o'clock, until they show back up a little after 1 o'clock. So there's a 3-hour period in there that they're out before they come back to Green Hill. We don't have video, don't know what they did during that period of time. But they're out there in the community before they come back to Green Hill at 1:05. And you see that car pull back in. As Mr. North told you, there are 4 individuals getting out of that car at 1:05. They came back. He didn't know what time, but it's 1:05. You'll know 2 of them kind of go in first, and you got 2 more just kind of hanging back in the car. Can't tell you what they were doing, but for some reason they hung back in that car. And I think you can see enough, see the hoods on as well. They entered about 1:06 back into that apartment in Green Hills. They're in there for 45 minutes and they come back out. Sure enough, we've got 4 or 5 coming out. I think you'll see 3 get into that black BMW again. And you see that pull out at 1:52. If you'll remember, I think Mr. Bassett in his interview with Detective Leffer told him that they was going to the store. They were going to the store. It's not quite accurate because he pops up again on Kruger video, pulling in to where he lives. And the cruiser's waiting there because they're trying to find Mr. Bassett. His name has come up.
Yeah. 5273 Charlie.
I submit to you that indicates a consciousness of guilt on Mr. Bassett's part, because the police are out there, they've done something. And you roll up to your house and the police are sitting there, Best thing for me to do is turn around and go the other way. And that's exactly what he did. Doesn't pull into his own home at 1:53, 54 in the morning. He pulls out to get away from the police. And then just a few minutes later, coming back into Green Hills, they pull out, go over there, turn around, come back into Green Hills, and this happened. You know, I let that play a little long because if you'll remember what Mr. Bassett told Investigator Leffler was after this shooting and the crash into the building, he got out and started taking his hoodie off, put pressure on the wound and so forth and so forth. It didn't happen. He gets out and takes off running. He either goes into the apartment, or as we suggest, his instinct is to retaliate or get revenge, because you saw the individuals immediately running up at where this car had been involved in that shooting was. You see the car coming in, see it slow down a little bit there, and brake lights come on, and that's where the shooting happened. There goes the vehicle involved in it. Somebody running that direction, firing a weapon. Second individual running up behind the first one. You see him running back down toward the apartment. And from the other angle, of course, you see him running up there at the head of Green Hills. There's the second one coming. And from any guns from that angle up there, I submit to you there's foliage up there. But what they do find are spent 9mm cartridge casings from the gun that has been used earlier to help shoot up Lonsdale. So one of the individuals was up there running after that car. And these are where they found the shell casings up there at the head of Green Hills. Now, police are gonna show up now, we got a car in the building. Okay, and this is where the LIE gang starts, LIEING, LIE, whatever, however you spell it. They start lying. Okay?
I don't care about brother. Hold on. What a bad bro. That was waiting on it. Was good. Man, right here. I'm right here. We stay right here. All this stuff that's going man like that's when I try to see this kid first get for the deal. No, I ain't see nothing. I'm in the crib laying down. They said about to run in my crib because come right back. And this shit happened. That's important. It is important. It's not. It is important. It's not. What the hell, but now where's my brother at? Oh, where's that, bro?
That's Mr. Williams, they're not in Williams. What's your name? That's not important? Are you kidding? Of course it's important. Anybody that's out there, right after a car crashes into the building, it's important for the police to know who's out there. See if they know anything. Mr. Williams, his name's not important to the police. Okay, you gonna keep asking? Richard Williamson. Okay, that's not his name. What, I mean, his brother, his best friend, whatever his relationship is dying inside that car that's crashed into a building. And your first instinct is to lie about what your name is? It just goes to show you the mindset that these guys have when dealing with the police. We're not gonna cooperate with the police. That's Bassett as well. Quit, the people are talking to police, quit talking around these big, whatever. I want my bag, I want my bag. Quit talking around these cops.
Why you so upset? From where? From where? From where? In the car and the air. Were you in that car? Yeah. You was in that car? So you just back place to, I didn't, no, I wasn't in that car. I was in the hell. I was in the hell. I was in the hell. Listen, I was in the hell when he was going to be coming because we come outside. It's my turn to see my phone. That's all, man. It's not to see my phone. But when I in the car, I already told you I was in the car because I want to know who did it.
In the car, not in the car. I think the important part of that is, if I was in that car, I could tell you who did it. We now know he was in the car, but did he ever tell who did it? No. He says he could. Did he ever tell? No.
So, he doesn't want to go to the hospital. He goes over to Green Hills. And where did y'all go from Green Hills?
When we left Green Hills,
The first time.
went to the store.
That's not true. First time we left Green Hills, they went to Lonsdale.
So tell me what Brandon did out there in Lonsdale.
Honestly,
Yeah.
I don't know what Brandon did.
Another lie.
Did you have to go to one?
No.
Another lie.
Brandon did, but you saw it.
I didn't see.
Another lie.
Well, I didn't have it.
Okay. Brandon, now, guys.
Brandon did have it.
Part lie, part truth. Back at Green Hills, police by that are finding Richard Williams' hat in the back seat of that crashed BMW. And they also, of course, encountered Larry North. That's Larry North in the red pants, running around screaming, upset as well. He goes, talks to the police, you've seen the snippets from his interview, and he told you he went and talked to the police, he's now been labeled a snitch. And you heard yesterday about, through the Snapchat and all that, social media stuff, how there was a $10,000 hit put out on Larry North after he talked to the police. Moving forward to January 17th, 2016, where Mr. Williams is involved in a traffic stop with 4 girls. He's in the front passenger seat, smell marijuana, get him out, search the car, find the gun. Top part is a little snippet off Patty Resnick's diagram, found under his seat. And that fired the bullet that killed Zaevion Dobson. April 1st and April 2nd is when, you'll recall, Mr. North, through the texting and through his testimony to some extent, talked about how he'd had a falling out, if I can use those terms. He wasn't part of the group anymore, and he was trying to connect with him somehow or another. And come April 1st, late April 1st, where he was living at 947 East Hill Avenue, he started getting text messages from Mr. Williams. I need my bag that's been in your house. I need that bag. I need that bag. Meet me out on the courtyard with my bag. And I said, "You play, bro. I gotta go. I need that bag." At 11:57. Shortly thereafter, Mr. North goes out there and he's shot 7 or 8 times by Mr. Williams. He said on this witness stand, told you that's the man that shot him. By the way, he never got the bag that he so desperately needed. That's what lured Mr. North out of his apartment, so Mr. Williams could shoot him, because he had talked to the police and he knew stuff. And he was not loyal anymore. He broke the code. So they shot him, tried to kill him. There he is, laying up there with a bullet wound in his back. The 7 or 8 shell casings recovered. It matched the 9mm that was later recovered in the park that was used in Lonsdale on December 17, 2015. Again, it's a portion of Patty Resnick's diagram. Take this thing back and study it. It also matched the casings that were recovered at Green Hills. April 4th, you heard police were looking for Kipling Colbert. They spotted him getting into a car or in a car. Jacob Wilson gives chase, if you will, tries to stop. He doesn't really chase much. He gets behind him. It's not a full-fledged chase until he turns his blue lights on. The car starts to stop. And you saw the video how he pulled over, I believe they're 275, and then slowed down and took off through the old city, striking a car down at an intersection, turning this way and that way in an attempt to outrun Jacob Wilson. I guess at some point they just give up. They stop the car, they bail out on foot, as you saw from that video, and Mr. Williams and Mr. Colbert are the ones getting out of that car and running. A subsequent search. Mr. Williams and Mr. Colbert took off running. Mr. Williams was able to be caught that night. Also found nearby was this .357 handgun, fully loaded. And he also had 9mm Winchester bullets in his pocket, the same type of bullets that were used at Green Hills, same type of bullets that were used at Lonsdale, and the same type of bullets that were used to shoot at Larry North. Finally, on April 14th, they were able to recover that 9mm semi-automatic, and those bullets that matched that scene. So all these bullets and casings and so forth were examined. The 7 casings from Larry North shooting, 6 casings from Green Hills where Brandon Perry was shot or that shooting occurred, and 11 9mm Luger casings were all fired from the same 9mm gun recovered on April 14th. Now, what is interesting about that gun is that after the 11 shots were fired in Lonsdale, I get back in the car with that gun and it gets reloaded somewhere over around Green Hills because it's used later on in Green Hills, that same gun. And you see the empty Winchester box, I think it holds 50 bullets, it's empty. And they found a matching bullet inside the apartment. They found one of those bullets in the back seat of that car that crashed into the building as well. And of course, you know the .40 caliber Smith & Wesson that Mr. Williams had fired the bullet that killed Zaevion Dobson. Now, this case is about criminal responsibility. We've discussed that with you. There are at least 34 shots fired from at least 4 different guns. I want you to study that definition of criminal responsibility and understand what it means. And what it means is that all those bullets fired out there in Lonsdale by this group effort, it's as if each and every one of these defendants fired each and every one of those bullets. Under this law, that's what that means. Of course, it didn't happen that way, but under the law, that's what your responsibility is. There's this Residence chart that does, we say, an excellent job of tying all these scenes together from the ballistics evidence. It tells you what guns were used to kill who or attempt to kill who. Premeditation, as we discussed on day one, is about choices. When faced with 2 choices or more than 2 choices, you decide which one you're going to take. I mean, that's just everyday thinking. And just because the choices before you are bad ones, doesn't mean you still don't have to make choices. This case, from the get-go, is about retaliation and revenge. And what illustrates that more than anything is when this first shooting happened on Dallas Street, the revenge was set into motion. So much so that loved ones abandoned other loved ones to go hook up with gang buddies, wannabe gang buddies, whatever you want to call them, and set in motion a revenge plan. And that's what they did. And to further illustrate revenge and retaliation, just look at that crash video in the Green Hills. And what does this defendant, Mr. Bassett, do? He knows his brother is shot or badly injured. If he's not shot, he ran into a building. Goodness gracious. He needs medical attention. But what does he do? He gets out of that car and either runs into that building or is one of the 2 that runs after that car that did this shooting and firing off a gun, even though that car is long gone. That's retaliation action. His mindset, the first thing I'm going to do is get even with the guy that caused my brother to get shot and crash into this building. Not go over there and tend to him, call 911. As you heard 911 calls, not a single 911 call from any one of these guys in any one of these situations. Especially when their brother gets shot or runs into a building. No 911 call to get help for them. They're going to get even, not get help. I asked you to study that criminal responsibility instruction. A simpler way to say that is the intentions of any one in this group are the intentions of all. It's a group effort. It's a group mindset. So whatever Brandon Perry's intentions are, whatever Chris Bassett, whatever Kipling Colbert, whatever Richard Williams' intentions are, it's all of them. By joining up with them and not withdrawing from them, you have assumed their intent. Whatever their intent is, whatever their actions are attributable to each other. That's what this law is. It's not that complicated. about choices. Zaevion had choices as well. When those bullets started popping off, he had to make a split-second decision. He didn't have an hour, 30 minutes, whatever, to decide what he was going to do. He was faced with a choice: be trapped on that porch and whatever happens, happens, or take off running. But he did what he was built to do. He chose to stay and protect others. Now that's a good choice. Where these guys chose to do bad things, Zaevion Dobson chose to do what turned out to be a heroic thing by protecting these girls that thought it was firecrackers. Wouldn't it be nice
You just wait right there with me.
You heard, I believe it's Faith Gordon, say twice, I want my mama. I want my mama. These guys reduced those confident kids to crying 5-year-olds or whatever, been shot at, crying, I want my mama. I want my mama. Wouldn't it be nice if we could have heard Zaevion on that? We'd be talking about 9 attempted murders instead of 8 attempted murders and 1 murder. These guys are guilty of murder, each and every one of them, and we ask you to so convict them of murder as charged in this indictment, of attempted murder as charged in this indictment, and of employing a firearm during the commission of these crimes. Thank you very much.
John, please.